The podcast is now arriving. Enjoy your time.
Hello and welcome back to the Wicket Train podcast. Today we're going to recap what was round 10. I'm joined with two handsome fellas with Vass and Bevan. How you boys doing?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Yeah, doing good, mate.
Obviously, if you saw our tips from last podcast, we weren't too great apart from Caleb, who had 7 out of 9. I may have robbed him of one. Most of us tipped like 5 and 6, so it's pretty poor by us. What a weird round we had, though, just in all due
Yeah.
respect.
This round was absolutely crazy, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a bit odd.
And I get that we gave Sunday footy a lot in the last tip video. It actually ended up being a pretty good day on Sunday footy.
Oh,
I
not
reckon
for
that was
top
the
of us, but
Yeah.
apart.
Besides the D's loss, Bevo, you might be a bit hurt about that.
yeah, just a little bit.
Apart from the Essendon North game, that would have had to be the best Sunday footy we've seen in about 6 years.
Yeah, big upsets.
Yeah.
But how about Port though? Goal with what? 2 seconds
That was
left.
crazy. Darcy Jones came in clutch.
Mm,
I don't get why Hawthorn put Blake Hardwick back behind the ball in that last quarter. He kicked 5 goals and they put him in
yeah, I heard about
that
that.
last quarter. That was crazy.
What's that?
If I'm Sam Mitchell, I'd be putting him. He just needs one.
I'd be putting him around the ball rather than taking him away from it.
I'll keep him in the forward line, honestly.
My question is, how are you losing that as the Hawthorn Footy Club, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a game you don't lose when you go into the last quarter being up 28.
Mm. They
Well,
just kind of. I feel like they
right.
just relaxed a little bit. Just let them take it away. They just relaxed and.
I think that's just the maturity level of Hawthorn and shown, I reckon.
Mm.
Well, I had a lead of 40 in the third quarter, and you're telling me you're losing that? Like, you lost a 40-point lead in a quarter and a half.
Yep. Yep.
Like, that is absurd.
Okay, you can hang a lot of shit on Hawthorn, but Port Adelaide nearly throwing a game against the bottom 4 team at home.
Mm. Yeah.
That's a little bit concerning in my
And we projected him winning by 50 as well.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah, I know we can pay out Hawthorn here, but that is pretty poor from the Port Adelaide Football Club.
that is poor from Port Adelaide. Like you'd expect them to be like top 6 or so. That was like a 10th place, 12th place position team. They played like it was not good footy from Port, in my opinion. They had
I
Dan
agree,
Houston kick 3 of their goals. I think that says a lot. Dan Houston's a backman and he's kicking 3 of their goals.
Hey, I'm not complaining. Supercoach goes good.
Yeah, looks traded him out like an idiot. But
Bad mistake there. But another interesting game was the Gold Coast Suns, who continue their streak of winning when playing at home, and they do so by beating probably one of the premiership favourites, Geelong by 60, which no one predicted.
Yeah, that stumbled me a little bit. I didn't watch too much of it, but bloody hell, it was from what I've seen, it was a just Gold Coast Suns game. They just had all the possession, I reckon.
Geelong's
And
midfield without Dangerfield looks unintimidating, I reckon. It doesn't look intimidating at all when Dangerfield's not in there.
yeah,
So I don't feel like there's that player that can break out at the stoppage and just, turn the game on its head like Dangerfield does.
Well, if you look at their midfield, their starting midfield, I'm pretty sure would have been like Clark, Jack Bowes, and like Tanner Bruhn. Yeah, Bowes and Bruhn are alright, but they're not star midfielders.
Yep.
yeah,
Atkins as well, he's not a star midfielder. Holmes is good, but he's playing off half back mainly as well.
Yep.
So it's not, there's no superstar there with obviously Dangerfield out. Even then, Dangerfield only adds a little bit as well during his injury prone, but when he's back, he's good. I think, yeah. And I think it was a big call with Geelong dropping Hawkins, Stanley, Duncan. Stanley makes sense. I will come out and say I hate the way Stanley plays with a passion.
Can all
Conway is
agree
a
with
much better
that.
ruck.
I can't wait for when Toby Conway is the number 1 ruck at Geelong. So Stanley is no good. He is no good.
Conway is a much better ruck than Stanley. Stanley got bet by that Port ruck, who was his 4th game in his career. 4th game. Conway is clear. He should be starting each week. I don't want to hear it. dropping Duncan's so random. Duncan's one of your best ball users as well.
I think I'd rather even have Mark Blitzarves as a ruckman over Race Stanley. He's that bad. Not trying to be offensive to Stanley or anything, but he sucks. Plain and simple.
I'd rather Sam De Koning play ruck over Stanley.
Yeah, I think you'd rather have like fucking who's the smallest Cats player there? Stengel or something. I'd rather have
Brad Close. Brad Close.
Brad Close. I'd rather have Close than the ruck over Race Stanley at this rate.
He's just copping it. I mean, yeah, look, good from Gold Coast, I think. That's obviously, yeah, they haven't lost a game at home, but they just keep proving that they're not a side you can take lightly anymore.
Yeah.
They're seriously starting to get into some good form.
I think it's good just for the AFL in general, having one of those nil clubs. Get shy, got to think them in GWS, two of the newest clubs in the comp, and they're really showing that you can turn nothing into something. And they'll be interesting to see when Tasmania come into the comp, whether they can do similar. But I think for now, it's like, yeah, Gold Coast are no longer that team where you go up and just beat easily. They're no longer number 15th team. They're 10-9 and 11.
Yeah, no, they look a lot more well drilled with Damien Hardwick as coach. I think Rail Anderson gone to higher levels. I think Ben King's started to get into some good form. Like coaches has been good. Flanders is playing some good footy. Sexton's even playing good footy, which is surprising to say because I don't really rate Sexton, but I think he's been good this year for Gold Coast.
Oh, Gold Coast dominated the bowl all day. You got to look at the stats here. Noah Anderson, 42 disposals. Flanders, 37. Matt Rowell, 35. Sexton, 32, which is not seen before from Sexton ever. Tuke Miller, 32. And then the next best is Max Holmes from Geelong, 32. And then you got Mize. Even Dempsey had a lot of it. But then, like, again, you see more and more Gold Coast up at the higher end of that disposal count.
I think what was good about the midfield for Gold Coast as well was their ability to hit the scoreboard as well. I think it was Rao kicked a goal. Anderson, I think, kicked 2 goals. I might be wrong, but they were just able to get on the scoreboard. On Geelong mids are sort of lacking.
Well, Gold Coast kicked 26-8. That's pretty good kicking.
Yeah, that's very, very straight.
Surprisingly high scoring, to be fair.
Lukosius kicks 5, Humphrey kicks 5, and King kicks 4. That's not that bad. Although I had a few notes down earlier today while I had some time off, and there's a game I want to look at, and it's the Brisbane versus Tigers. Who's the worst team
Oh,
out of Richmond and North? Who's winning the spoon this year?
Oh,
I
I
reckon-
still,
I
I
reckon I
still
can see
think North
Richmond.
Melbourne's winning the spoon.
nah, honestly, I'm going Richmond. I'm
That's
going Richmond.
That's fair. Look, Richmond beat Sydney, which was a good win, and North still haven't won a game. Looking at the rest of the fixture, I can see North Melbourne winning probably one more game than Richmond. It all depends on that game that they play at Marvel Stadium. I reckon those two teams, North and Richmond, that game winner will be 17th, loser will be Wooden Spoon. So a lot lies on that game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, apart from Richmond sucking in that game, there's one player I want to highlight on the Brisbane Lions, and that is the 35-year-old Dane Zorko. This
He's,
bloke,
he's aging like fine wine, this bloke.
that's the best way to put it. He's had
35 disposals and a goal against Richmond. I get it's Richmond, but to be doing that at 35 is
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Well, I had a look at his stats. This is on track to be one of his career best seasons, and he's 35. He is currently ranked second in the comp for total marks per game and total marks in the comp. He's third for total kicks and kicks per game. He had a season and career high of 40 disposals against Gold Coast. He has only had one game below 20 disposals this year, which was, I think, round 1, he had 19. And he's got a career high of average of kicks, disposals, and marks this season. He has to play next year.
Yep. I'm having a look at it now. Right here on the AFL app. Career average disposals is 21. This year he's gone up to 26.8. That's enough, really, to say he's playing some good footy.
Could he be a sneak at the Brownlow or even Lions BNF?
I wouldn't say Brownlow. I wouldn't
Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't say Brownlow.
I'd definitely say he's up there for the Lions BNF.
Hmm.
Brownlow, probably a bit of a stretch. There's a lot of top tier talent way ahead of him. I reckon Heaney, Merritt, Butters, Rowell, Tom Green. There's just a lot of superstars ahead of him.
Well, how many years do you reckon Zorko's got left? You get around to that 36, 37 age, and you start pulling the pin. But if he's playing his best footy, how long do you see this going on for?
I'd say another probably 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'd say the same, 2 to 3 years. I think there was
When
an
did he go?
there was an interview he did. I can't remember who it was with, but he was talking about retirement and stuff. And he was talking about how LeBron's playing and he's 38, 39, 40, whatever it was. So he said, why can't I do that as well? And he's proven that he can do that this year by having a career best season, I reckon.
Well, he
Hmm.
signed a 1-year contract late last year. Does he get another extension?
I feel like they'll push for it.
Yeah, I reckon they'll push for it. I reckon he will get it as well.
I think it just makes total sense. I think if you don't, you just be silly. If he's playing this footy, if he stays fit, why would you not go again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is one more kid in his notes I've got listed down from the round, and that comes from the last game of the round.
Oh no.
Eagles Melbourne. And this kid, he is probably the best draft pick in the last 10 years, I reckon.
Hmm.
And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you're delusional. This is Harley Reid.
Yeah.
What a game against Melbourne.
Yeah,
That goal with Petrarca chasing him down just to burst out of that stoppage with the ball, take about 3 bounces, kick a goal from about 50. That's that. You don't really see that from an 18-year-old kid. I mean, you probably say that from like Chris Judd way back when, but
especially it being his ninth, 10th game
yeah,
ever in the AFL, and he's already doing this.
it's really good signs for West Coast.
The clip that stood out to me from that game is when he won the clearance, stiff armed Oliver,
Oh,
Yep.
stiff armed Track in the same possession. Which
yes.
18-year-old's just kicking about going, I'm gonna stiff arm the 2 best players in the comp right now?
Yeah.
Mate, it's unbelievable how well he played. Like to stiff arm Oliver and Track, 2 of the biggest bulls in the competition. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I
I
feel
was
like,
having,
yeah, there's not much that's going to stop him.
I'm just
I got
Especially,
curious.
just really excited when he hits his prime. It's gonna be something special, I reckon.
I was curious today as well. I'm like, Nick Dacos has talked about the best rookie of the last sort of decade.
No,
This kid's changed it, and I'm just looking at these stats. I compared the pair from Dacos' first year. He played 25 games compared to Harley Reid's 10 games this year. Harley Reid is currently leading on average contested possessions, has a better efficiency, more clearances, better goal assists, better inside 50s, and more tackles than Dacos. I know it's 2 different roles, but this is a great sign from a young midfielder who's wanting to win the ball
mm,
rather than just sit off the back and get easy little kicks as what Dacos is known for. But
yeah,
I thought that's a bit rough. Maybe there's a difference. Obviously, one's a backman, one's more of a mid. Let's compare him to Marcus Bontempelli's first year. Harley Reid averages like 5 to 10 more disposals than the Bont did back in his first year. He averages more contested possessions, again, better efficiency, more clearances, and averages the same amount of tackles as Bont in his first year. This kid has that high of a ceiling for his career. It is insane.
mm. Yeah, as I said, there's honestly not much that's going to stop him in his prime. Like, if he's doing this now, imagine what he's going to do 3, 4 years later.
Yeah.
West Coast have to keep him. It's going to be
Yeah.
dumb. West Coast, I think, have to offer him at the end of this year $1 million a year.
If I'm West Coast, I'm offering him a big money contract. I'm honestly, I'd be keen to move on some older stars to make more money to throw at Harley Reid so we can sign him on for as long as we can because that kid's a one of a kind talent. Yeah, as you said, to be an 18-year-old stiff arming Oliver and Petrarca in the same play, that's unheard of. Like you don't really say that anymore. So Harley Reid, I'm not trying to glaze him or anything, but he's seriously something special. And
Yeah.
yeah, you just don't know how high his ceiling's going to be because he's playing some spectacular footy already.
Mm.
This kid will be the face of the AFL. I think he had 21 posies yesterday, 10 of them kicks, 11 of them handballs, 4 tackles to go along with it, 7 clearances is insane, 2 snags, like, that's some good stuff. In a game which was filled, you got Clayton Oliver, Neil Bullen, McGovern, Salem, Track, Gorn, Tim Kelly, like, there's some good
Mm.
numbers from a young kid.
I think as well, along with Harley Reid, he's a lot older than Harley Reid, but Jake Waterman is putting together one hell of a season. I don't think anybody had him to be doing any damage this year, but I feel like he's been really good in the absence of Oscar Allen. Like he's just stepped up and taken his game to a whole new level. The last 5 or so games, I think it was 6 goals, 5 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, and 4 goals this week again, I think. So he's
Yeah. That's class by him. That is class. Bit like
It's what
Levi.
you need. It's what you needed from him when Oscar Allen went down. Let's have a look here. He's tied first for most goals this year with Ben King, Jesse Hogan, and Charlie Curnow. And he's played one less game.
Yeah. Like if you were to have him in that Collingwood game, he's probably leading Coleman right now.
Mm.
This is crazy numbers of someone who hasn't been talked about ever. And he's just stepping up in the role which West Coast needed. And I think this is the good thing about the West Coast team. You're
Yeah.
seeing some new faces in and about doing well.
Yeah, well, looking at his stats here, his scoring accuracy's gone from 54.3 to this year being 63, which is incredible. And going from 3.2 goals this year compared to his career average 1.2. Like he's taken his game to a new level. And I seriously think he could be a star for West Coast for the next few years as they keep on building up.
And he's only played 93 games as well, just to put it at the end as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of footy left for this kid.
Mm.
Can't say kid, he's 26, but a lot of footy left.
He's looking like he's entering his prime years now, which is a good sign for West Coast fans. And if he keeps on producing this type of game, then he's going to be a superstar.
I can't wait to see when Oscar Allen comes back and this West Coast forward line looks even better.
Mm.
Honestly, can't wait for when West Coast go back to being that top 8 team.
Which I feel like they're not going to realize when it happens. Like it's going to be something that just happens out of nowhere. Like you're not going to realize it until they're in the top 8.
Yeah. I think they'll have something sort of like a 2019 Brisbane. You know, they might finish bottom 4 and then they'll just shoot right up into the top 4 maybe. Who knows? Or the top 8. Like that's why I'll seriously rate this West Coast group that at the start of the year looked like they were going to be even worse in 2023, but now they look a lot better than 2023, 2022, and now they're really starting to build back up the ladder, and they're looking really promising. And I'm excited for what they can do in the next few years.
Yeah, and think of this year, you got Elliot Yeo to come back in, McGovern said he's injured, Oscar Allen's going to be back in 3 to 4 weeks. There's some handy ins. And for someone who had one of the hardest jobs in AFL, Adam Simpson, who was on the brink of getting kicked out of this West Coast team, and he's turned it around, and now people have started believing him. I think he's done this job for that many years. I think
you can allow those 3 years, the last 3 years, where they've tanked a little bit, and now they're starting to find their feet. I reckon it's another positive sign.
Yep.
Well, because we've got any other good games this week? No.
Oh,
We still got a little bit to talk about, I reckon.
Well, I ticked off my two things I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about Zorko, and I want to talk about Reeds. I'm fucking.
I want to talk about Collingwood and Adelaide. That final minute or so, where Rankin's running down the wing, he's taking a bounce, and he's still running, and he's kicked the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been pinged for running too far. What were your thoughts on that? Because I honestly thought Adelaide was robbed. Because you look at that, what Rankin did. Any other game, I reckon that's just going to be let go and it's just going to be play on.
Yeah.
So I'm interested what you guys thought of that, because I thought it was pretty much a robbery for Adelaide.
Yeah, I reckon Adelaide got robbed there. I was watching it, and it didn't like he ran a fair distance, but I don't reckon it was far enough to blow the whistle. And ultimately, yeah, I reckon that's what lost them the game is that goal.
He got pinned after he kicked it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I don't like. If he ran too far, he wouldn't have been able to kick it. You would pin him before it. So surely he ran too far before kicking it. Surely his last step wasn't the 15-meter step he kicked it.
and even then, you just let it go because he's about to kick it.
Yeah. But I think any other game, well, as I said, any other game that you watch, I reckon the umpire would just let that go. So I reckon for Adelaide, to be fair, even as an Essendon fan myself, they were probably robbed in that game against Essendon with Draper Light on the ball. And they were robbed when Rankin kicked that ball. Like, they probably could have won the game. Who knows? Like, it was a high kick inside 50 to a contest. And who knows? They could have gotten a goal or something. They might not have, but you never know, because we didn't say what happened, because Collingwood obviously got the free kick and held on from there. But yeah, Crows seem to have been robbed 2 times this year. So it's pretty disappointing. You look at last year when they were robbed as well. I just don't have luck on their side, the old Adelaide Crows. It's
Yeah.
a bit stiff.
And to make matters worse, Rankin's out for multiple weeks now with a hamstring injury.
Yep.
Oh.
So yeah, look, one thing happened, and now it's following effect for a couple of weeks.
So are we officially writing Adelaide's season off, or do we still think there's a slim chance that they can make the top 8 and play finals?
Where are they now?
Yeah, where are
They're
they now?
13th. They're 13th.
13th.
And looking at it, so they're 13th, and they currently have a percentage of 100.9, and they're 361. They probably could have beaten Brisbane and probably could have beaten Essendon and Collingwood. So if those results went in their way, they're probably, let me try and think here. I think 7-4 push in that top 8 area. So yeah, I don't know. I still think I can give a little bit of a case for Adelaide playing finals, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. I reckon that they need a little bit of luck on their side, and they need to start playing a little bit better brand of footy if they wanted to make the top 8.
Are they better than the 5 teams holding that spot? You got to think the Suns, Fremantle, Carlton, Bulldogs, and Brisbane are all sit above them. And Carlton, Freo, the Suns, Melbourne, and the Giants all sit tight on points with 24 apiece. So 10 points back from basically 6 players. Are they playing better footy right now than those teams?
I'd say a couple of them, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like
yeah, I don't think I think they're playing better than Fremantle and the Dogs at the moment.
Yeah.
The Dogs obviously have been impressive. Like, they just beat GWS at GWS, but yeah, it's a weird one, because I feel like those 3 teams are sort of like, they're still really hard to read. Adelaide, the Bulldogs, and Fremantle, you just can't get a good read on them. Like, they'll have a really good day, they'll have a really off day, but no, I can't see any consistency with any of these teams, and I just don't know what to think when somebody brings them up.
Well, you look at the consistency and you look at the Bulldogs. They lost to Hawthorn, beat Giants. Brisbane can't even win at home anymore, but they can win some games away. Carlton are hit and miss depending on how Kerno and Harry Mackay want to play footy, if they actually want to play footy or they just want to touch the ball a few times. First there and thereabouts each week. So I don't know. The Suns sitting eighth actually surprised me. I didn't realize they were in the top eight. But look, Adelaide on their day, don't get me wrong, are a top eight team. It's just they haven't been able to find that for multiple games back to back.
Yep.
And yeah, you can say they're unlucky with that Essendon game, but you ride your own luck in the sport. And if you're not producing the results on the board, you don't get that luck. You got to start turning games around. And realistically, games shouldn't come down to one bad call at the end of the game. It should come down to the entire 4 quarters you play.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a reflection. Don't think they're playing good enough footy for 4 quarters.
I reckon there's a few games we can probably get talking about that we don't really need to talk about. We'll start off with Fremantle and St Kilda. St Kilda's season's over, pretty much.
No, I still back him. I'm joking. No, this was the last game I had for St Kilda to be a chance, is my opinion.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they only lost by 20 odd in the end. But what's their run home? What's their run home? They got Melbourne next week. Write that down as a loss.
Then they got West Coast in Perth, which I reckon West Coast will actually get up in that one.
You'd write that one down as a loss, yes.
And then they have this one, depending on what St Kilda shows up, they play Gold Coast at Marvel.
Yeah, so it's the next 3 games do depend, but I still feel like they could lose all 3 next games, and then they play Brisbane the Gabba. That's a tough 4 games for a team that isn't in form.
It's weird. It's weird how St Kilda go from actually being a really good side in 2023 and this year like a bottom 4 side with Rowan Marshall carrying the team.
Yeah.
I won't comment too much on it because I feel like we have a lot better things to talk about than St Kilda. But
Well, I'll touch on Ron Marshall carrying the team. This bloke's a ruckman with 31 posies, by the way.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but what are they doing?
I actually don't know what Ross Lyon's game plan is. It's a weird game plan. I can barely I don't know what to think of it, honestly.
The best midfielder in Jack Steele had 18 touches on the weekend, and you're telling me a ruckman led the game in disposals. Was he rucking it, tapping it to himself and like crumbing his own ball? What's the go here?
You got no idea. But
Yeah.
they're in all sorts of St Kilda at the moment. They're not looking good at all.
Mm.
Other results from the weekend: Essendon.
Someone's happy.
Very happy.
Novas, the Bombers are back. They're second.
Second on the ladder. Got that little percentage boost and got the 4 points. Play Richmond next week, which should be a win. That's 34 points for the season already, and that's 8 wins for them. Probably should have been 9. Probably could have beaten Collingwood on Anzac Day. Yeah.
Well, your next couple games, they play Gold Coast on the Gold Coast. That could be a bit interesting with how Gold Coast have been playing. Then you got Carlton, then the bye. And then you got West Coast. It's a good next few games. Then you play Geelong at the G. Like, every chance you'll beat them depending on what form Geelong's in.
Then I think we play Collingwood and Melbourne the weeks after that, which
Collingwood, Melbourne, Adelaide.
Adelaide's at home, by the way.
St Kilda again.
That should be an easy win the way the Saints are going.
Fremantle at home. Suns at home. Sydney at home. And Brisbane at Brisbane. And this is where I sit. Are the Dons good enough? They're playing a lot of top 8 teams post-bye. Are we seeing a repeat of last year? Or are they good enough to now bounce back from it, convert these top 8 games into wins?
You look at what they've been able to do. Now, Ridley's been missing the whole year, which has obviously hurt the back line. And arguably he is the best defender at Essendon. And I'll say that he is. I think he is the best defender at Essendon. Then you also have what's his name? Fuck. I'm already forgetting names. Draper,
Not a true fan.
Draper. Sorry, fuck. How did I forget that? Draper's out as well. We still got a fair few talents. Dersman's got to come back in. It's a healthy list when it's up and about, and it actually looks good. And Brad Scott's been really good, bringing in mature aged recruits like Dersma, like Gresham, like Mackay, like Goldstein, who have that experience and could potentially help us end the everlasting finals drought that we've been wanting to break for 7,000 plus days.
This is the year.
It hurts. It hurts being a Dons fan, not winning a final.
And I'll take this is the year. If you don't do it this year, you won't do it for another 5 years, I reckon.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with
I
you
think-
on that one.
I don't care how good the Dons are playing this year. I think if they don't do it this year, they are still the same Dons team as we've seen for the last 3 years. That choke post bye.
If Essendon is able to, let's say they win after the bye, they win how many games are after the bye? 9 or so. Let's say
Yeah, like 9 or 10.
five or six of those, and they lose about 3 of them, and they finish top 4. What are we standing with Essendon as a team then? If they finish top 4, no, they finish the season fairly strong. Drop a couple games, like I would expect them to drop a couple of games. I don't see them going undefeated for the rest of the year. That's just not going to happen. But they're able to beat a team like a Geelong, a Melbourne, maybe pinch one against Brisbane at the Gabba. Who knows? Yeah, it could be sky's the limit for Essendon.
If that's the case, I'm buying a grand final ticket, an Essendon membership, and an Essendon hoodie, and we'll see you in September.
I'm hoping this is the year. I'm hoping this is the year because looking on the field, they look a lot more mature than last year, and they look a lot more level-headed. They're not getting worried when margins blow out like that game against JWS when it got out to about 19, 25 points. They were able to wrestle momentum back in their way and get on top. I think that was a really good sign of Essendon's maturity.
Oh yeah, I think you have to win at least 5 of the games in the next sort of span of 10 post bye, and then I think you easily make finals. You hopefully play like a Gold Coast at home or something like that and get that win.
Get the easy win.
I think the
Depends.
hardest thing will be if you finish 4th and you're playing the Swans at SCG.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
That will-
especially if you go down in that first game, the pressure just rises of will you beat that other ranked, like I think it's, do you play 3rd or something like that? If you finish, I don't even know. But you play that other loser the top 4, winner of the bottom 8, and it's like, oh, hold on now. Are they gonna do it?
Are they going to do it, or are they going to go out in straight sets?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of question marks on Essendon and finals this year, but we're just going to have to wait and see. We're still at round 10. Who knows? It's the most open premiership race for a long time. Well, anybody could jump into that top 8 that's sitting from 13th, going all the way up to first, I reckon.
We got to think we had GWS's premiership favourites about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, now you look at them now. They're barely in the top 8. They've dropped how many games now? 4 of their last 5. So there's a lot of question marks around GWS. Even Carlton has been dropping off in form a bit as well. Melbourne as well. Yeah, it's a season of where I think any team can win on their day.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
It's
This will
interesting.
be good. This will be a good finish.
It'll be a good. It'll be a good finish to the season after the bye. Like, it's just going to get a lot of excitement around it, I reckon.
Sorry to do this to you lads, but I'm having a look at the AFL ladder on the AFL.com website, and it does come up with who's favourites to take out the premiership. Obviously, the Swans are clear favourites. No doubt about it. The next highest team is actually Collingwood. They reckon the premiership orders, yeah, Swans, Collingwood, Giants, Melbourne, Geelong. Carlton's also in there. Carlton's actually 3rd favourite or 4th favourite.
I find that a bit.
The Brisbane Lions have the exact same odds as Essendon, by the way.
Ooh.
And they reckon Hawthorn has better odds than St Kilda.
Yeah, honestly, Hawthorn have better odds than St Kilda. I think even West Coast have better odds than St Kilda at this rate.
They actually have the exact same odds, actually. Can't be putting them down too late.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny.
Oh, this will be a good finish, but
Will be a good finish to the season.
I think we're done. I think we've covered what we needed to.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Pretty
stay up and about, stay tuned. We will give our tips again on Thursday. Follow them if you like. If not, don't follow us and you probably do better than us. But enjoy your week. This is coming out on a Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. So enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the footy. And we will catch you all for the tips on Thursday.